Hey there. Welcome to Pampered Chef Party Thanksgiving 2021. This is Deborah Lee, for those who don't know me. Anyway, yeah, so this video I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show you a bunch of small utensils and then talk about this gut things that I've been working on as for my health, and also make some kombucha. So show you how to make it. So I'm really tired today. I didn't sleep well last night, and I got my booster shot, COVID booster shot, and there was a lot of standing in line and walking, and with my eyes, fatigue triggers it. So you can see they're both kind of droopy right now, but the left's a little more droopy. So things are spinning a little bit, but you know, it's doable. It's a lot better than it was. I'm not seeing double vision like I was. That sent me to the hospital, and that was actually multivision first. And that double vision started clearing itself before I left the hospital. I mean, it was pretty much gone when I left the hospital. But this, I call it swirly vision, where everything's just moving, was all the time. Now it's just when I'm tired or moving and doing things. If I'm resting, it's not really there. So anyway, but I'm getting better. And anyway, so we're going to talk about, I've had a lot of health problems for the last 5 years, actually. Started with recurring respiratory infections that made my diabetes go up, and had a foot ulcer and a bad doctor. It took a long time to heal, in large part because I wasn't slowing down. And I'd go to Alabama to help mom and dad, and I'd come back and it'd be worse. Or I'd come back with another respiratory infection, just because I overdid myself. And so when I finally got cleared of the foot ulcer, which took 2 years, I'd been done with respiratory infections and stuff. The day after that, I started having the symptoms of shingles. So I had a really bad bout of shingles. Anyway, and then, you know, it kind of ebbed and flowed. And in the last couple of years, I've been falling a lot and having balance problems. And since August, I've been to the ER 3 times. I sprained my knee, which took a couple of months to heal. And that happened when I was in Alabama with my mom's dialysis training. We were at a hotel. And they found I had arthritis in both my knees. Severe is the word they wrote on there. And then that was in August. In September, I got bit by a brown recluse, and it got cellulitis. And so I ended up in ER because all the urgent cares were full, and it was late in the day, and they weren't taking any patients. And that healed up pretty quickly, as far as at least the cellulitis part did. But I had to go on antibiotics. And then this last one was with my eyes, trip to the ER, and that included a hospital stay. So anyway, I'm fine with it all. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, God allows things for a reason and a purpose, and I've seen so many blessings and good, and a lot of things He's taught me through all these things. So even in the hospital, when they were thinking it might be a stroke or MS with my eyes, you know, I was just at peace about it. So you know, I go with it because I trust God, and I trust, you know, his good and perfect will. So anyway, but kind of in that process, I've done some things. You know, for a while I've been transitioning slowly and inconsistently to traditional cooking, Weston A. Price, nourishing traditions, Sally Fallon, those are the key words there, to change how I eat. And it's always been, you know, I'm kind of like, I'm tired of the vilification of food and the camps, this is evil and that's evil. And I'm like, this is not how God designed it. You know, He designed food differently. You know, it's so important in Scripture. It's so important in our faith life. And anyway, so basically, I'm been on a journey to eat whole foods. You know, convert things. You know, just change foods that I eat and how I prepare foods. And we'll talk more about traditional cooking in another video, but one thing that you know, I've lost 70 pounds and 7 inches off my waist or more. The waist goes up and down, you know, and so it'll vary day to day depending on what's going on in my, you know, gut. But yeah, so 7 or more inches, and which are signs of insulin sensitivity improving if you start losing belly fat. And the dark patches on the back of my neck and my elbows, called acanthus nigricans, are fading. And there's a lot of signs that my health is improving. You know, and I will say it's not exactly everything I'm doing, because my blood sugar has been high. I'm working it with my endocrinologist, so that could have caused some of the weight loss, but the improvements that I'm seeing in me and the people around me are saying that, you know, it looks like I'm having a healthy weight loss, not a wasting away weight loss. So it's a mixed bag. But I'm just on a journey to, you know, be faithful and be a good steward. So today I'm going to talk about one thing that I think really turned the corner for me, which is adding fermented foods to my diet. And at the beginning of COVID, I had come across this book by a woman named Donna Schwenk. It's called Cultured Food for Health. She's got other books, but this one's specifically about health issues. And she tells her story, and I'll try to remember to link her story into, you know, the description of the video, or at least the post or something. It'll be somewhere, where she tells her story. Now, she had gestational diabetes, and it developed into later to regular diabetes, type 2. I've been diabetic. I diagnosed at 33, right after we got married and married in insurance, but I probably started in my late 20s. So I've had a long time. And I've had a bad gut for a long time. I was born with thrush, you know, the yeast in your mouth, you know, outbreak in your mouth. And I had a lot of antibiotics growing up because, you know, especially in the 70s, they were just writing them for everything. And but I had recurring ear infections, as a child. Dad smoked, and so, and I think my allergies to cigarettes probably have a lot to do with the mold probably that grows in there. But I had, so, and then I had a bad gut. And of course, if you have a bad gut, then you crave carbs, you crave sugar, and you're never really satisfied nutritionally because the nutrients are not getting in your body. So, you know, it'll be, you know, a lot of bouts of hunger when you know, because, you know, you're hungry after you eat because you didn't get the nutrition you need. It's not absorbing into your system. So what she did, and I'll let you listen to her story separately, but what she did is she added fermented foods to her diet. And for her, it was just a matter of months before her health completely turned around and her diabetes was reversed and things like that. She had high blood pressure. It kind of started because she had preeclampsia, and they'd take her baby early, and, you know, and she kind of went on this journey. So what she did, she added 3 types of ferments. She added milk kefir, kombucha, and cultured vegetables. And one at a time. She didn't like try to, you know, do this big, huge thing. She just did, you know, one thing, and then she got used to doing that and making that, and then she added another thing. And that's the same thing I've done. So what I do is, of course, the milk kefir and the kombucha, and I'm inconsistent. Milk kefir is a pain because it's every day, and I'm not good with maintenance. But you know, so I'm getting back on it. But anyway, the cultured vegetables, sometimes I just throw vegetables in the garden in a brine and let it ferment. I mean, all you need to preserve vegetables and fruits through fermentation is salt water. And maybe it's different for the fruits. I haven't done many fruits, but, you know, with vegetables for sure, it's just a brine. You just put salt water in there, and it just takes what's in the air, and it'll keep for a long time. You know, it's just it's one of the ways God made us for natural preservation of food. So that includes, you know, dehydration and salt curing and, you know, and fermentation, and I'm forgetting some, but yeah, there's just natural ways that God gave us to ferment food. And so, I mean, to preserve food, you know, before we had canning and all these other things. So yeah, I mean, and you don't have to do too much for the kimchi. Just put a tablespoon or so on your plate. And Adam likes the kimchi. Gary can't stand it. I'm having a hard time getting Gary on this. But Adam would drink the kombucha and eat the kimchi. And just keep a jar and put a little bit on a plate. And the kombucha is yummy, so that's not a problem. The milk here is kind of sour. It's kind of an acquired taste. So, but anyway, so the benefit that this has had, one is just I lost weight without really doing anything. And the things started bouncing in my body. Now, some of these have only really kicked in recently. I mean, literally, there were times in this, it would ebb and flow, where I could not say no to sugar. I mean, I felt powerless. I would look at it, and I couldn't say no. And it was you know, what was going on physiologically in my body was causing that. And so over time, you know, I've gotten now where, I mean, yeah, I'll still eat a candy bar here and there, but, you know, it's not like, I mean, sometimes like I really want something sweet and I go look around and I don't want to eat. I mean, none of it appeals to me, kind of thing. And it's just not part of, you know, not part of my psyche anymore. I don't know if that's the right word, but your gut is your gut is called the second brain. You know, like 85% of serotonin is produced in your gut, and neurotransmitters are produced in your gut. They send the signals to the brain. And so if you don't have good gut health, you don't have good mental health either. And so I'm hoping, you know, I think it's an epidemic, and science is starting to figure some things out with this, and there's a lot of studies that show this. But I wanted to share this because the if you're struggling with a myriad of different health problems, it could, you know, they're finding that pretty much everything is in the gut. And actually, Hippocrates, I think, said it, or somebody, one of those great guys, said the key to good health is the gut. You know, and they knew that back then. And so I'm saying that is something to explore. You know, for you to explore if that's something you're curious about, and just to tell you a little bit of my story, which is still unfolding because I'm still figuring it out. I'm in this thing called traditional cooking school. I'm trying to learn how to use these cooking methods, like and things before industrialized food. So before industrialized food, there were things that people did to their food before they ate them that people don't do now, like soaking, sprouting, fermenting, sourdough, things like that. And you know, these problems that people have with grains is because they're not processing it and stuff. That's another issue here. But if you are just kind of feeling lost and you want to try something, you know, kind of step away from the vilification of food, or this is evil and this is good. And I have friends who they keep taking things out of their diet. They can hardly eat anything because everything is triggering them. And you know, if just look at your gut and see if that may be the answer. And it's just that simple, those three things. And you can buy all those things. You can buy kimchi, you can buy kefir, you can buy kombucha, but they do have a certain level of pasteurization in them. And so I would, they're not as effective as if you make them at home. Okay, I've jabbered a lot longer than I realized. So let's look at these Pampered Chef utensils because they're really cool. And the reason I went with the kombucha on this is because of this thing. And it's I don't even know, long scraper or something, that's what it's called. And it's long enough for my gallon jars. It's long enough for my half-gallon jars that I can stir with. Everything else was too short. And also, I buy gallons of mayonnaise at Sam's a lot of times, and I can scrape the sides with this. It's really awesome. Great little cleaning brush. Oh my gosh. I have several of these and I can't keep up with them. But they got their little brush on this end. And then it's got a little pointy thing so you can get those little grooves and stuff like that. So that's wonderful. Oh. Well, I'm just trying to run away. Can opener is nice. It's one of those kinds that doesn't do the, doesn't leave a sharp edge. It's a smooth edge can opener. And I buy those at Walmart, the black ones, and I bought them at all kinds of different brands, but they never last very long, so I just keep extra. So far this has been, you know, maybe, I think I might have bought it last year. No, they weren't available. I probably bought it in the spring. So far it's been great. So I'm hoping it doesn't tear up like all those other ones do. Pretty self-explanatory. This is a slice and serve. It's, you know, a pie server, and it's got serrated edges so you can cut things more easily. And this, I didn't think I would. I thought this was silly. It's I thought this silly, and I really don't know why I bought it, but I'm glad I did. So it's a cake tester, you know, and I'm like, why don't you just use a Q-tip? And I guess I might have just bought it, you know, got it with my free stuff or something, because it has this plastic end that you use to loosen the stuff around the pan, and so it doesn't scratch your pan. And that's the best part about it, and it does a great job on that. And I don't have to, you know, worry about the butter knife or whatever doing the pan. I did a video on this. I posted the scoop loop, like get the seeds and scrape out, you know, like melons or pumpkins or something like that. This one's really nice. This is Teflon knife. So you you cut your brownies and stuff, and you don't scrape your pan. And I've used this a lot. I like this thing. It's confusing to Adam and Gary, but and I forgot what this is called. Mix and mash or something like that. And so it's flexible, and you know, obviously it's like, you know, potato masher, but I use it. I think, you know, say like with making guacamole. I don't make my own guacamole, not yet, at least. And but what I use it the most for is deviled eggs. It just mixes it all up really, really smooth. Really, really smooth. And then I've got this. I don't know what it is. I picked this up at the Marengo County Rescue Squad thrift store in Linden, Alabama. And I saw it, and it said Pampered Chef. And so if anybody knows what it is, I'm guessing it's some kind of garnishing tool. So it's just got a V-shaped blade. So if anybody knows what that is, let me know. And these are cool. This one is for cake. This one's for cakes, like a spreader to put icing on cakes. And it has these little grooves in them. This groove cleans a whisk. The little ones, they clean your whisk like that. And the big one will clean your mixer beaters. But I think I read not on the KitchenAid, like the hand mixer. I think the KitchenAid wires are too big. But I haven't tried it. This one's really nice. This is like for sandwich and stuff. That little scoop will get all the mayonnaise out of a jar. It's like I scraped it once and I could see right through it. I just like, so yeah, that's really great for that, you know, for scooping out and getting that last bit of the condiments out. And this is for spreading stuff on your sandwich. And it's got these little serrated edges, so like you could cut your sandwich in half with it and stuff. So that's a little handy dandy thing. Let's see, where am I? That's obviously a jar opener. And what's really cool, except I've lost mine, but I think if I find them, I'm going to do it. They give you screws and stuff so you can mount it under your cabinet. And so you can just take your jar and just turn it. And so I think that's a nice change. We've had jar openers like this before, but none of them would do that. And it's got a nice weight to it. It holds really easily. It has a better feel to it than the one we had before, which was an OXO Well, and a whisk. I haven't had a good whisk in a long time, and this has worked very well. This pastry roller, and I've used this. I do this traditional cooking school thing, and I use this for making crackers. And so I don't do a lot of stuff yet, baking wise, but I wanted to start. So so yeah, that becomes a. I mean, so that's a really good rolling pin for. But one thing higher on my bucket list is making crackers. And healthier crackers like sourdough and stuff. And I with a traditional cooking school, I was doing a sourdough course, I think, or challenge, and that worked really well for that. And this, just a couple more things. This is a ladle, and it's got this little strainer in the side. And I thought this would be great for my canning, but I didn't get to can this year. Gary was too busy, and the garden didn't do well, and I wasn't able to do what I needed to do for garden, much less canning. But yeah, it's very big too. It's a very good size. It's got a little pour spout, and it's got a strainer. And just a chef's knife. It has a cover. I don't know where it is. And I only have this because, well, I got the set that had this little slicer. So you put like little cherry tomatoes or grapes, and you slice through it and cut them in half. Also works with bagels. And I was making English muffins with that sourdough challenge that I was doing, and those kinds of things. You could just put them in there, and it holds. It's got a spring, so it doesn't matter what depth, how thick it is, and then you just slice it. So those are some of my favorite utensils. Little things. I like little things. But it does kind of fill up my house. So I just want to make you aware of those. So next we're going to talk about the kombucha. I'm sorry this video is getting so long, but I'll try to do better on the other ones. So the kombucha is not hard. You basically, what kombucha is fermented sweet tea. And so you basically just make sweet tea however you make sweet tea, and most of y'all are Southern, not all of you. You know how to make sweet tea, but I'll tell you how I do it. And so you need this thing. It's called the SCOBY. This disc right here. Let me tilt it up a little. It's easier then. Okay. And it's called a SCOBY, a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. And so that's, you hear the mother, like in the vinegar and stuff. It's kind of the mother of kombucha. So all you do is you take sweet tea, and for a gallon, you need a little less than a gallon because your jar's big enough. You have room in the jar, but you put in the SCOBY and a cup of sugar and a cup of kombucha. And and you let it sit, you let it sit for a week or two, or until it's a flavor that you like. So some people like it really tart, and they'll let it sit, and each time it'll build a new SCOBY. So you get SCOBY. So this is called a SCOBY hotel. You put in a jar and put in a dark place, and you just put your SCOBYs in juice, and it'll keep for months that way. And it'll keep for months that way. It'll start smelling kind of vinegary or whatever, but it's still active and alive. And you can take the SCOBYs and save them, or you can take them and make, feed them to the chickens. You can make a facial out of them. It's supposed to be really good. There's a lot of recipes. You can take the SCOBYs. Like I was thinking about making dog treats to sell, because I live in the 14th top hipster city in the country, Maplewood, Missouri. And it's all dogs everywhere. I mean, it's just dogs are my children kind of thing. And so anyway, Adam and I were thinking about putting some in there to give them probiotics. But there's Donna Schwenk on her website, her website is culturedfoodhealth.com, culturedfoodhealth.com. And there's a ton of recipes. There's a bunch of recipes I'm using the SCOBYs. And so the sugar gets eaten up by the bacteria. So it's not like you're going to be drinking sweet tea straight, because it's because the sugar for the most part will be, you know, depending on how long you let it sit, will be used. That's their food, not yours. And so, you know, there's controversy about whether it's good for diabetics or not, but I know that when I drink it, you know, my blood sugars go down. So, because my body needs those probiotics and that gut healing. So you'd have to figure out for your body if you know, if you got blood sugar issues of any type. So once you let it sit and you get it kind of a flavor you like, you can drink it straight away, or you can do a second ferment. So the first ferment is it's aerobic. It needs air. So you know, I'm going to make me some muslin covers, but I haven't yet. So you take a paper towel or a cloth or a coffee filter and a rubber band and just cover the top of it to keep the bugs out, because they love it. And so you do that, and so it can still breathe. When you do the second ferment, you just take it and you pour it. Now, I just put it in mason jars because that's what I have everywhere, mason jars. And I just put it in mason jars. And let's see if I have a, I don't have one. You can buy different kinds of fermentation lids to put on it, but you don't really need to. But if you do mason jar, if you can do mason jars and put a fermentation lid on it and set it for 1 to 3 days for the second ferment, and you put some kind of flavoring in it. So the vast majority of the time we put cloves and cinnamon, and sometimes we'll throw cranberries in, or oranges or apples, or just the spices. I mean, just because that's what we like. But you can put fruit, you can put extract, you can put juice. Sometimes I'll put some concentrated juice in there and put some in there. And there's a lot of things. I can't tell you how much, because I've tried to search and everybody's got different ideas of how much stuff to put in. But this is like folk wisdom. So just put some in and see if you like it, see if you want more, see if you want less. You have to experiment with it. And that's just what I do. I got tired of trying to figure out and learn from people. And I realized, well, if it was that important, there'd be more consistency in people's instructions. So it's not. Now, don't use Earl Grey tea for this, because it's got bergamot in it, and the bergamot has antiseptic properties, and it can kill your bacteria, or at least reduce it. And so in the second ferment, you can do a mason jar, leave some space in there, and burp it. You know, you can leave it 1 to 3 days, and I've left it longer. But you want to burp it every once in a while because it will build up pressure. So the fermentation process, it will bubble up at first, and then it'll settle back down and just move into just its regular thing. So, and so what a lot of people like to do is they take these kind of bottles, this is filthy, with the bale top on them. And what you can do with that, mine's broken. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, you don't want to get a craft bottle. You want to get something that's been used for pressurized beverages. You want something thick and that's designed for it. So you can get those gross beer bottles. That's what people talk about. We have a bunch from Aldi's, and they used to sell this pumpkin spice cider in them, and we've got a bunch of that. But I don't use them, and I might use them for some water kefir. The reason I don't use them for the kombucha is because we use solid seasonings, like with the broken up cinnamon sticks and whole cloves. And I don't want to have to, and then if we put fruit and stuff in there, I don't want to have to clean all that out of the bottle. So that's my reason. I'm thinking about designing a little tube. You put stuff in and you just drop it down in the bottle, and then you pull the tube up. So that's something I'm working on in my head. But you can use these, and what'll happen here is you'll get that fizziness if you like that fizzy soda stuff. But I would, you can buy it and get the, benefit, but it's really expensive. And if you want to have some every day, and it's not as effective because it's been pasteurized a little bit. And this is simple and this is cheap. Now, when I make my tea, the way I make my tea, is my southern way is I take a saucepan, I put 2 gallon-sized tea bags in the in the water, and then I bring it to a boil, and right when the rolling boil starts, right when it starts, I watch it, I turn it off. And that, and I've never had bitter tea doing it that way. And I used to get compliments on my tea a lot, but that may have been my cooking method. It may have been the fact that I found that the perfect amount of sugar for a sweet tea was 1.33 cups. I grew up doing a cup, and I know people who do 2 cups, but it seems like 1.33 cups is kind of a magic number, at least for a lot of people's tastes. So now I often don't do that because you have to wait for it to cool down. Oh, you need to have filtered water or aged water because the chlorine can kill off stuff. So I often, I don't have a big water filter, so I will set the water, I'll fill it up with water, and then I will, I'll just let it sit for 24 hours and the chlorine dissipates. And I can learn that because Gary does that with his aquarium. And and what I often do is I just cold brew the tea. So I put the tea bags in with the water. I have not mastered how many tea bags yet. So I'm going to say to taste, go from 4 to 6 regular size for a gallon and 1 to 2 family size. And I'm still kind of tweaking that because I know that if you make it according to the box directions, if you make a gallon of tea according to the box directions, they want you to use 4 tea bags, but I've always used 2. So I think, I think that's worked for me for decades. So I use 4 to 6 regular, or 1 to 2 full, whatever floats my boat that day. And sometimes I use the cold brew tea, but the regular tea does just brews cold, if you're going to sit it for 24 hours. And there's times like, I'm getting ready to go out of town and I need to get it going. And then I'll leave the tea bags in the whole week until I get back or whatever. So anyway, that's kind of a seat of the pants kind of description of kombucha, but it just tastes better and it really does work better if you make your own. Can probably give some people some scobies because they do keep growing. If anybody wants one, you can contact me. Of the people in the party, if you're watching this on YouTube later, I probably don't have enough, but you can contact me anyway. But anyway, and I can mail it to you, or you can buy scobies on Amazon from different sources, and Cultured Food Life has them. They're more expensive, but they're stronger ones, so it might be worth the money for that. And anyway, I'm sorry I've gone over half an hour on this. So I'm going to stop this now, and I'll try to be more concise with the next one. So, all right, thanks for listening. All right, bye.